I'm gonna need you to lean in.
Okay, I'm ready.
Is it really cheaper to keep her?
It is. So we're talking about a 16-year marriage, and you have vested retirement, 401k. You got 3-4 kids, and your income is high, and then you got to pay the attorneys. And yeah, it is cheaper to keep.
So in my case, it'd be cheaper to keep him.
This is Caesar Walker, the cool, calm, collected one.
And I'm Ronnie Gatry, the emotional one.
And we are the Tipping Point Podcast, your source for the black male's perspective.
Tipping Point Podcast.
We have a guest. Isn't that right, Gad?
Yes, Walker. You know how amped up I get when we have guests on the podcast, right?
Yes.
So I'm trying my best to retain my composure, but I cannot.
You actually try?
I try. I fail a lot, but I try.
That's why it doesn't look like you try. Got it.
Walker, the lady sitting next to you is a proud graduate of Inslee Magna High School. Walker, an esteemed alumni of Miles Law School, Miles College. I hope I got that right.
Miles Law School.
Miles Law School. She's also the pride of the University of Montevallo. All right. Mm-hmm. But Walker, before I give everyone her name, I got to tell you a little story. Okay. This fine young lady sitting next to you right now, I happened to meet her at an event, right? It was a real estate oriented event. And she's kind of like she looks now. She was, she wants you to know who she is. She needs you to know who she is, right? And so I don't know how I bumped into her, but when I did and I found out about her and what she does, which we're going to get into in a minute, I said, you have got to drop everything and come to the studio and record with us. And that's exactly what I said, because you know how shy and bashful I am.
Yeah.
Caesar Walker, Black. I happily give you Adrienne Moffett Powell in the building.
Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
You're doing great.
I'm doing excellent.
Well, we appreciate you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right. So let's get some backstory here. You
Okay.
Gatry kind of introduced you, talked about why were you at this event? What was going on?
I was campaigning.
Campaigning.
Yes, I was campaigning.
So this is an important 2022 is an important
It's
year for
very
you.
important.
We gonna talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you can definitely go there. What are you campaigning for?
I am running for Jefferson County Circuit Court Judge, place
Okay.
23, Domestic Relations Division.
Nice.
Yes, thank you.
Don't make me repeat that, because that was a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
You mean like running for Circuit Court Judge, place 23, Domestic Relations Division?
That part.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And you
I
got to
got
add
you.
that Jefferson County in there.
Jefferson County. There you go.
Okay.
There you go. All right.
Yes.
So what does that mean, Adrienne?
That means I am an attorney who is running for a domestic relations seat. So the current seat is an open seat. And what that means is there is still a current sitting judge on the bench, but they are going to be retiring. And so what happens is that makes it an open seat, and anybody who wants to run, we can run for that seat. And we have the Democratic primaries, which is May 24th, 2022. Then we have the general election, which is November 7th, 2022. And when you get past that, you will get sworn in and take the bench in January, and that judge will leave.
Okay.
All right.
Interesting.
Okay. So you are a lawyer in domestic relations?
I am.
Okay.
Yes.
This is why I wanted her here, Walker.
Talk.
Yes.
I wouldn't have guessed.
Yes.
I wouldn't have guessed.
Yes. Domestic relations, family law attorney.
Okay.
And, I try to break that down. Most people don't know what that is. Most people just kind of are familiar with family law, which is
Right.
when you deal with child support, custody, those things. But with domestic relations, in essence, I am a divorce attorney.
Okay.
So you just sound a little scared, but it's not.
Dun, dun, dun.
Just for our listeners out here, I didn't have her in here because I'm interested in getting divorced. It's just like the way you presented it to me. In particular, You were like, "Hey, I represent the guys,"
Yes.
right? right?
Yes. So
I don't know if that's
is.
putting you to a box or not, but
A little bit,
okay.
but I would like to expound on it. We'll get to that. But yeah, so as a domestic relations attorney, again, what that means is I am a divorce attorney. But people think when they think divorces, they just think simply the party splitting. But we deal with all types of things in divorces. We deal with custody. We deal with child support. We deal with property. We deal with PFA sometimes. That comes through divorce court.
What is that?
A PFA, protection from abuse. When you have,
Oh.
yeah. So those come through divorce court as well. So the difference between domestic relations and family court is that family court, the parties are not married. So we got the same issues, but one, in family court, they're not married, and you also don't deal with property issues.
Right.
And in domestic relations, the parties are married, and of course, we have to deal with marital property.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Yes.
So the way Gatry mentioned it to me is that, as you stated earlier, you repping for the fellas.
Adrienne, I think that's all I heard.
But I'm going to reposition this for you. That's why I'm here.
Yes.
You represent men and women. You take
do.
cases for men as well as women.
I do, and that's why I say we can't just put that.
I know. Y'all know how I get. I hear one thing and then,
It's like the fellas, yeah. All Ronnie heard was fellas come to the show. I was like, okay.
You heifers about to get it.
So yes, you are correct. I represent husband and wives, moms and dads. But when you get into custody, we have a whole different ball game when it comes to moms and dads when we got those custody battles.
Sure.
And that's when we have to do what I say, at least for my practice. I have to do a little bit more when it comes to representing my dads as it relates to custody. Because, I mean, you get into court, a lot of times dads or husbands don't really realize that they have the same exact rights in custody cases as the moms. I get a lot of them come to my office.
Yeah, since, speaking in existence,
I like
it's okay.
that. Thank
It's
you.
all right. Yeah.
Thank you. Come to my office saying, I don't think I may be able to do custody because of XYZ, or say, hey, this is my standard custodian time. Can I do anything past that? And I said, hey, look, you are not different. And again, I represent the wives. I represent moms. I fight for my clients no matter what. I don't care who they are. But when it comes to the dads, I tell people I do have to do things a little bit differently because moms do kind of come in and it's a little bit easier to fight those cases for custody because people just see mom, they think of maternal instinct, and they instantly kind of think custody goes with a mom or a wife. Mm-hmm. But you have to present those cases where you say with the husband or dads, unless you can tell me something that shows that he's a danger to this child, I can't understand what's the difference between that parent and this one. Especially when you have husband and wife. When you have a marriage and that child was in that household, and it's not like the mom or the wife was supervising this child with the husband or the father 24/7. No.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, we have to do a little bit different. I had to present a different case.
What as a lawyer, there's so many different trajectories, many different paths you can take in terms of what types of law you practice as a lawyer. Mm-hmm. What led you to domestic relations?
So I actually start working for domestic relations attorneys.
Okay.
I worked for Attorney Sammy Shaw and Kevin Roberts for about 6 years as a legal assistant for them. And they did a lot of heavy domestic relations, which means, of course, that allowed me to get into the law and just through my legal research and things of that nature. And I found myself being more interested in that area than anything else. Mm-hmm. And also, as a new lawyer, started practicing in family court. And like I said, it's the same exact thing with domestic relations. They're just not married. We're still dealing with dads and moms. And I was able to kind of see from my own perspective that you had, again, has always been a thing, you kind of still had that one-sided custody things that I would kind of see, even with some attorneys presenting it. I've seen attorneys, and I'm not saying anything bad about them, but I've seen attorneys don't go ahead and tell their dads, hey, you can fight for whatever rights. And I kind of ventured into it a little bit more because I wanted to be that attorney that said, hey, we're going to try to change this. I like that challenge of saying, hey, let's see how we can fight this custody case. And before I knew it, I was just more interested in that area than any other area, and that became my main focus, domestic relations and family law.
Do you feel like this is part of your purpose?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Considering that I'm running for judge, I don't want it to look like I am only focused on dads, and that's why, I'm here and should be on the bench.
Right.
So I can't say that. I think my purpose is, or I'm blessed to be able to see those type things from my practice or from when I work for attorneys, and that I'm able to, through my own perspective, bring that to the bench in addition to things that I see with, cases with wives and mothers. So I can't say, that's my purpose.
Well, when I say purpose, I mean just to domestic relations division and your service to,
I agree. To make sure we give all parties, both parties,
absolutely
an equal fighting chance.
Yeah.
And that's I want to see fairness. I want to see equal 50-50 across the board. Yeah.
So, I tend to look at people running for an office as problem solvers.
Okay.
Right? They actually see something. It may, we know all systems and infrastructures aren't perfect.
Right.
But they'll see an imperfection or they'll see something and they want to address that with their platform.
Right.
What is it that you see in this position, and what is it that you're willing to bring to this seat?
So I will start out by saying this. The domestic relations judges that we have in Jefferson County are excellent. I can't say that I've seen any of them do anything that made me think, okay, this is something that needs to be changed from the bench. I think they're all excellent. I learned in their courts. I've been in front of pretty much all of them. But far as, and I want to continue with that from what they have done so well on. But far as what I see or want to bring, it's pretty much the same thing that we already kind of have. We have things like standard visitation. A lot of things are set up for the discretion of the judges, where they can say, hey, we have standard visitation. We want to try to exceed that. I can, that's something that I want to see, honestly. And a lot of judges do that. So are you all familiar with standard visitation?
No.
Okay.
I'm familiar with the term.
Okay. Do you want me to kind of explain that a little bit?
Please.
So standard visitation, it's not focused on a mom or a dad or husband and wife. It's a non-custodial parent. So whoever the non-custodial parent is, they have a visitation schedule that they have set up through the court. So the court has
I'm with you now.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. So we have that standard visitation. What I do like is most judges do have that discretion to exceed that. And so the standard you normally see is every other weekend, Friday from 6 to Sunday at 6. And if you really think about it, we're talking about like 4 days a month out of 30 that this non-custodial parent have.
Right.
But I do like that certain judges, and I want to be able to do the same thing, say, hey, it doesn't have to be Friday at 6. Let's see if we can do, Thursday, pick the child up from school and take the child back to school Monday. Or do one day during the week, pick the child up Wednesday from school and take the child back, at 8 o'clock. And we do have a couple of judges that do that, but I want that to continue to be a norm. Mm-hmm. I want to see that more so than anything. Also, co-parenting. Co-parenting is a big deal. And I want to see that, and I intend to push that as much as I can. And it's just from my experience, when you're dealing with divorce, people get so caught up in the battle themselves that they lose a little bit focus on the children when they're involved in those cases. And I kind of want to see with co-parenting, which is what, you have to be, you got to be a judge to kind of focus on those things. As an attorney, I can't do it. I can always present it to my clients, but I can't present it any other way. So co-parenting, I think is a big deal. There are programs that are set up that some people are familiar with. I don't know if everyone is. Our Family Wizard is one of them that allows the parents to put information in far as what they're doing with the children. I kind of want to see that a little bit more, because I think it disrupts the children when the parents don't realize through divorces that these children are going through it too. And they're used to being in a household. Assuming we got great parents on both ends now, they're used to being in a household with both. And you kind of want to keep that consistency of stability as best you can, because I was the product of a divorce, my parents. And I'm going to be honest with you, I have a very close relationship with my dad because they co-parented. Him and my mom co-parented. Yeah.
Adrienne, did that impact or did that help shape where you're going career-wise? Okay.
It did. Definitely the co-parenting thing. That has always been something that has stood out to me. I've even tried to encourage it on my cases because I firsthand have seen how well co-parenting does. I am a product of co-parenting.
Right.
My mom and dad got divorced. We end up living with my mom primarily. My dad had to stand visitation. That schedule has been around a very long time.
Yeah.
And he had the every other weekend. But here's what happened. My mom did not hold him to that schedule. My dad was able to come get us anytime. She made sure he was aware of events. He was at prom. He was at, I was a dance girl. He was at all of those things, competitions. He was there. But that's because my mom made sure she informed him of it. And because of that, it made me realize that my dad was still apart. I never felt like I had that void of him being there because he was present all the time. But it took them to co-parent, to talk, and make sure they put that extra effort in to maintain that consistency with the children so that I can maintain that relationship with my dad. And to this day, super duper close. You cannot tell that I couldn't tell or had any effect, in my opinion, as a child that I was a product of a divorce.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Question, Adrienne.
Yes.
Okay. So I've been in real estate for about 3.5 years, right?
Okay.
And so one of the things I've noticed is since I've been exposed to that, I look for a lot of like I just look at the world differently. Like, I mean, my wife and I have started real estate investing, right?
Right.
So like our conversations at home have a lot to do with real estate. Gotcha. Adrienne, you're a divorce attorney.
I know.
Now be real.
I'm gonna be real.
You ever come home and be like, man, I'm just gonna leave?
That's exactly how it works. Huh?
Sorry, I could resist.
I love it.
And conversely, so my wife's a dentist, right? So like we always talking about the teeth, right? Like I had to put braces on. I remember all that. Like,
you know how to mess this dude up if he make it wrong. I know every loophole. But yeah.
Does that impact like your personal life?
It does, but it has the opposite effect that you would think. Because I am a divorce attorney, and I have seen so many different things, from representing my clients. I've heard so many crazy stories that it actually made me stop and say, hey, my marriage may not be that bad.
I got
Seriously.
you. Okay. Okay.
Like, this was small.
Yeah.
I just walked away from a consult where this lady or this guy had all of this stuff going on. Meanwhile, my husband and I may be fussing over who put the ketchup on the top shelf versus the bottom.
Y'all fuss over that too?
No, we don't. Look at you.
We on like day 4 of fussing over the ketchup. No,
Right.
That means y'all gonna make it.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
That's a good point.
That's what that means. That means y'all gonna make it.
That's true love. You in it for the long haul. I like that.
No, I get I see what you mean though.
Right.
Okay.
So you just realize that it's not as serious as what you thought it would be. And I am all the way honest. Being a divorce attorney has made me appreciate my marriage. And I've been married now 14 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think we're doing pretty good. I think he was nervous about that focus of just being a divorce attorney.
I mean, I would be.
I think he was a little nervous.
I'd be sleeping with one eye open.
Yeah, I think he was. He's like, so you're not going to do a little bit of criminal anymore? You just going to focus primarily on this? That's what you love, you say? So you're going to run for judge for that? Oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I think he got a little nervous.
Couldn't leave you if I tried now.
Right. He knows.
He's
I know
stuck.
the ins and outs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think he got nervous when I focused on that area. He's like, so
good.
you're not going to do anything else? You just keep doing these divorce
Just divorce, son. Divorce, son.
Right. So, yeah, it actually is a benefit.
Nice. Okay.
Do you ever find yourself wearing multiple hats in that you are servicing your client, but you play the role as counselor?
Oh, absolutely. We're called counselors. Did you know attorneys are called
Yeah,
counsel?
yeah, yeah.
I did not know that.
Well, in TV,
I did not know that.
Well, in TV, I've heard the judge referred to as a counselor, approach the stand or whatever. So, but I'm like advising them, like, maybe this isn't as bad as you think.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And my client, I promise you, I probably will have so many clients that could confirm this. But yes, just like you said, we are called counselors because we do have these consults and we do counsel our clients. We hear the sob stories. We hear the bad things. We hear the personal things. I have heard some emotional things from clients and I feel for them. And sometimes they just want someone to listen to. They want someone to listen to. They want someone to vent to that they can trust. And they do. They want our expert opinion. And I tell a lot of my clients, I say, at the end of the day, I tell some of them it's not that bad. I have been, even as a divorce attorney, I have encouraged people to stay together or try other avenues before they actually consider divorces. And I tell them, hey, at the end of the day, as a divorce attorney, I'm not going anywhere. My office will always be open. So if it takes you 6 months to try to work this out, because I've seen worse, or, hey, did you try this? Because they don't know some of the ins and outs that I know. I say, hey, you can try counseling. Or, hey, have you tried this? Have you tried to talk to him? That sort of thing. And I say, at the end of the day, 6 months to a year, I'm still have the same office. I love what I do. If this doesn't work and you took this advice and it still is, not working for you, you call me. Then we'll rock and roll at that point. Dang. But, yeah.
So, Adrienne, have you ever seen them flip?
Oh, absolutely.
Adrienne, let's talk about it.
When you say flip, let me make sure I'm
like,
clear.
Okay. So
I am gonna get a divorce.
So yeah, my
Yes.
my wife and I decided we're gonna get divorced. We come and see you. Mm-hmm. You say exactly what you say in terms of the counselor hat, and then we go and we're like, you know what?
We're gonna work it out.
Yeah, we're gonna work it out. Have you seen stuff like that?
I have. We can set aside divorce complaints. I've done quite a few. So I've had people that come in and, I don't hear from them anymore, so I assume maybe it worked out. That's always a possibility.
Yeah.
Or I've had them come in, we file, and before it ends, I have filed several motions where I'm asking the court to dismiss the case because the parties are reconciled. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, do you still get that bag when that happens?
Do I feel bad when
No, do you get that bag when that happens?
I get paid regardless.
There we go.
I don't care what you do. I know what's gonna happen.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like, look.
That direct deposit. I know what the direct deposit gonna do. I don't know what you gonna do.
Y'all reconcile, but I would still need.
You still owe me.
I still charge by the hour. No, I'm joking.
But yes, that's true. We get paid for the services no matter what.
That's funny.
So,
No, Adrienne, that's good to know. Just because, like, in my mind, when I conceptualize what you do for a living, I'm thinking once they come and see you. Oh yeah, we're splitting. Like but it's not always the case. That's good to know. That's good to know. Okay.
Because you said it's legal counsel, so you're giving people counsel based off of where they are in that certain period of time.
that is correct.
Right. So even if you do decide to get together, the fact that they came to see you to discuss the steps, that is counsel. That's services that you provided them.
That is correct.
Got it.
Hey, Adrienne.
Yes.
I got a real question. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna need you to lean in.
Okay, I'm ready.
Is it really cheaper to keep her?
It is.
So it's not just the same.
I'm just one person giving an opinion as an attorney.
I think your opinion is very, very sound considering what you do.
And so when you hear that, it depends on, it's a case-by-case thing.
Sure.
So we're talking about a 16-year marriage, and you have vested retirement, 401k, you got 3-4 kids, and, your income is high, and then you got to pay the attorneys. And yeah, it is cheaper to keep her.
And depending on what her profession, depending on what she does for a living as well, right? Because the whole point is to ensure that the two of you are able to sustain your life after the split.
Yeah, so you're really referring to like spousal support.
Right.
So spousal support is one thing that can be a part of a divorce that makes people say it's cheaper to keep her.
So in my case, it'd be cheaper to keep him.
I have a question.
I just look at you, Black. I just look at you.
I do have
I
a
cannot
question.
resist. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes.
What's your question, Black?
Do you recommend prenups?
It depends on, so here's the thing with a prenup. Some people truly, as you see on TV or what you hear about, they get offended by them, because in essence, what you're doing is saying, hey, there's a contract that I'm putting in place with the possibility of a divorce. You intend to go into a marriage saying that this is going to be long-term. So with that being said, I don't necessarily recommend them, but it depends on, again, it's a case-by-case situation. It depends on the income. And so if you have, this very high income, all these assets and things like that you're vested in, and you say to yourself, if it comes down to it, I do not want to split those assets, then yes, a prenup would be the best thing. You protect those assets in advance. But most of the time when you see prenup, it is definitely a business and, like I said, things that have invested and high income, that sort of thing. And some people do it just because they say, hey, I want to keep mine and let you keep yours. And we want to keep it simple if it comes down to it, because we just enforce that prenup and everybody just kind of go their separate way. That's a quick divorce and it's cheaper.
I like that.
Adrienne, oh yeah, because you got the documents already. So
Yeah.
once you decide you're going to dissolve, you just refer to that.
Yeah,
Bing, bang,
that's
boom.
what the court enforces.
It basically is like instructions for how, if in the event that this were to happen, this is the plan we follow.
Oh, I know what they are, thanks to you.
What was that look about?
Because you're a fan of the prenup. We talked about this before. We've had this discussion on this podcast, and it's one of the many reasons I'm just disgusted with this individual. But go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish.
Thanks, Kanye. So, you familiar with the term selective memory, right?
I am.
So let me give you what happened.
Okay.
So I have always felt, because I think I said I wouldn't get a prenup.
Okay.
I wouldn't, because Black says he will.
He would definitely.
I
get a
feel
prenup.
like prenups, like middle class, two of you coming together, for the most part, at this point, y'all are, I think it called an IKEA marriage. Y'all build it together. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well played.
So in an event where you do have assets, and let's say you do have children already, you want some things definitely passed down to them. You want to protect that. So oftentimes the prenup is about protecting your assets more so than we may break up and I don't want you to. It's about protecting what you've built, especially if it's prior to meeting someone who wasn't there when you were shooting in the gym on the come up, right? So what I'm saying, why my whole point is, I think a prenup is important, but I think in that regard, but I think what happens is, I think the execution of getting the prenup is what gets a lot of people in trouble, because once you're pulled into each other emotionally, y'all on social media, then you want to slide the piece of paper, and it's like, that's probably going to get thrown out. It's, you know what I mean? It's going to cause more headaches. And I think, and I talked about, that's something that should be discussed when y'all are dating and vetting each other, so that person knows. They may even be in agreement with it if you bring it up at, the proper timing. I think that's the way you should go about it if you're serious about it and you got assets to protect. That was my whole point.
I agree. But prenup just have such that bad reputation.
We got to change that.
And I agree. I agree.
When elected, she will start the changing of that narrative.
You got Black's vote.
And prenup's insurance policy.
But it truly is, and I said the only time that I have seen or had someone to come to me, they did have a lot of assets and high income. But that is, like you said, that is not what the main focus is. It truly is to say, hey, some people come and say, I just want a clean divorce.
Right.
Or they just want to go ahead and outline their property, their assets, and it could be average income or it could be low. It doesn't have a set amount.
Right.
And they just want to keep it clean and everybody already keep theirs and it go their separate way.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the idea of a prenup, just for that purpose. But
You got my vote.
Thank you, Black. I know I'm going on a bench. I think Black may go and change his identity and vote 2-3 times.
Hey, put that tag on Black. You got an extra one of them in your purse.
Right, I do. I need to put that on. I see Black changing his coming in with costume and vote about 2-3 times. I know I'm winning.
Hey, y'all know Adrienne.
You know she's for the prenup, right?
You know what to do, May 24th. You know what to do.
So I like them. I think if you look at it, like you said, from the Caesar, from the business perspective,
Right.
I don't see anything wrong with it. But
Right.
most people don't look at it that way, and it
Right.
becomes, it can break up a. Yeah.
That's why you talk about it before the emotions get all tied in, because then it
Right.
gets then you are asking for a problem.
Right.
Like the horror stories, I'm like, why would you propose it after y'all engage weeks and months before the wedding day? Like, of course she doesn't want to sign it at that point. Right. So it's almost like false advertising. Like, you know what I mean? So do it on the front, so she'll know when you propose, she knows exactly what she's signing up for.
Right.
So,
and they're very hard to. I've never seen one set aside. It's very hard to set a prenup aside. I had a case like that similar where I represented the wife, and we were moving forward with the prenup, and it was the husband that came to try to fight it. But you and both of them had counsel. So it was like, nah, judge is not gonna set that aside.
Yeah.
Rock and
Oh,
roll with
yeah.
it. And she didn't. So she enforced that prenup. But you know what that is? That's at least in this particular case. What happened was they were married for quite a while, and
I was about to ask that.
Yeah, they were married for quite a while. She had initially at the beginning of when they did the prenup, her income was lower. Once they got into the marriage, her income was much, much higher, and his was much lower. And again, we're talking about, I think it was a long time, I can't remember, but we're talking a very long-term marriage. So he realized, hey, I'm missing out on things like spousal support, and I could get it for a retirement, but he waived all of that. So it's almost like he had a buyer's remorse type situation because her circumstances changed during the marriage, but he was stuck at that prenup when she didn't have all of that going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, that happens too.
Adrienne, this is what you deal with?
I love it though. I love what I do. I love being a domestic relations attorney.
Wow, no day's the same.
It's not. It is so interesting. The cases are interesting.
Have you thought about writing a book?
I have. Someone mentioned it to me because of my background and just in general. So, yeah, I've had a very interesting life. So, I have considered that. But,
Like you can sell it to Tyler Perry.
He's got enough stories.
Right.
He's
He
good.
good.
He's got enough. I don't think he's like, dang, I'm out of the same. Man leaves woman. she found a dude loves Jesus with braids. We got about 10 of them stories.
You're right.
All right.
Look, like I said, the wig's alone. Maybe
Right.
I want to sell it to Tyler Perry. You had to do better. Tyler not doing
Right.
it. Yeah.
Right. I was doing a little research, and I see like where studies in terms of divorce, where it talks about who initiates the divorce more. And I know studies like American Sociological Association, they did a study, I think maybe like 6 years ago, where they discovered that 69% of the time when there's a divorce, women initiate it and men initiate less. Now there's give or take who's doing the study. I've seen some people say 66. I've seen some say 80 that it's the woman. In your line of work, what have you seen?
Honestly, I can't say how true the numbers are, obviously.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I can't say what I've seen more. And for the fact that I can't say, it may be the cases that's coming in my office. It seems about equal to me.
Okay.
But I will say this, you tend to have people want to race and beat the other person to filing. Yeah, I've had that.
For real?
Yes, it becomes, so again.
Almost an ego thing?
It does.
I was about to say,
You
what's
don't
the
want to-
advantage?
You don't want to be the one to be divorced. At least that's what I've seen. Now, I don't see that being true. I don't think any of that matters. But from consults that I've had and talking to, like I said, I've been practicing now almost 14 years. So that means I've had quite a few people in my office. In majority of the time, now let me take that back, it's not majority of the time, but some of the time I've had people to actually say to me, they're going to file because they don't want to be the one being divorced. They want to be the one to divorce. And I don't know why that is the situation, but yeah, some people want to be the other person there. It's almost like they maybe it's an embarrassment or
Are they emotionally and mentally still in high school?
Well, I guess
divorces, people get a little petty with divorces now.
For face value, I mean, I would consume it as whoever files first is the victim, right?
Again, everybody has their different reasons.
I think you can play a victim in any role if you're skilled enough. I mean, you can take
that's true.
But you know, that's what people, of course, you see plaintiff, and some people think when you see plaintiff is something went wrong in this marriage, and this person said, hey, I need to be out.
Right.
But no, some of it is truly, from my experience, I've had people talk to me in consults, and it is who can get there first, because they don't want to be divorced. They want to do the divorcing. Again, things change. When divorce comes into play, things change.
Yeah. That is interesting. That is very interesting.
Yeah, things change.
What you speechless?
I am speechless. I got so many thoughts. Like half I don't even know how to articulate.
Well, the one is that you can't articulate. What you got?
Okay, so Adrienne, I'm curious. You've seen a lot of divorces for various reasons,
right?
Are there any trends? Like, okay, all right, so we know, I cheated on my wife, she gonna divorce me. We gonna, whatever. Mm-hmm. But like, outside of that, because like one of the things, and we all know this, we're all married here, right? Mm-hmm. One of the things, I don't know.
Black's not.
Well, I'm about to say everyone with a microphone.
No, and not without prenup.
Okay, all right.
What is that?
3 out of the 5 people in this room are married, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I know one of the biggest things in our marriage, one of the causes of friction, were expectations.
Okay.
So expectations are tough to deal with, right? And a lot of times they go unvoiced. Mm-hmm. Do you see like trends like maybe like or lack of fulfilled expectations being a lead cause to divorce?
I can't say a lead cause, but I have seen that. I have had people to come into my office and actually say, I thought he was going to do or she was going to do X, Y, Z, and this is where we are. Or he or she started a particular way, and this person has changed. But from my experience, majority of the time, people just fall out of love. I get most people come into my office and say, I'm just not in love anymore. And it could be various reasons. I've had people say, we're not doing anything. This is boring. Somebody's more focused on the children. And, I've heard it all. But ultimately, from my experience, most of the time, they have just completely said, I've fallen out of love with this person. I just don't want to be there anymore. And then the next thing I hear, and again, everybody's case is different, but from my cases, the other thing is adultery. You do get a lot of that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I shouldn't just shrug that off like that. But I mean, I would assume that'd be an easy trend there. Yeah, you get
a lot of that. And some people will claim adultery even if they're not really sure. But they, I've had people say, well, I can tell something's different. He or she is not coming home the way they started off, or he or she is holding conversations late at night. And so it could be somebody else. And then, here we are with divorce. Again, I tell people, because I'm for marriage, despite me being a divorce attorney, or doing domestic relations, I say you have to look into a little bit more of that. You can't just don't end your marriage because you're thinking there is something going on.
Can't let emotions drive that. Yeah.
I say you got to talk. From my experience, the biggest thing is communication. You got to sit down, and if you're not doing that, then that's where the problem lies. And so before you contact an attorney and hold this long conversation with me in a consult, have you went and talked to your wife, or have you went and talked to your husband? Have you addressed this, and this? Have you said, hey, I'm falling out of love because we're not doing anything. We used to go places. You used to buy me things. This is boring. But if you're saying it to the lawyer, take that time before you spend that money and see if you can use that money to do something different with the marriage, or you step up. And say, hey, well, let me start. Even though we used to go, let me be the one to initiate.
Yeah, there's 2 folks in there, right?
Right.
Talk about it, Adrienne.
I think you just preached to him. That's what I think.
So, you put that effort in, and I say if you put in and invest as much as you can outside of what you feel your normal routine is as the spouse in that marriage, if you put as much as you can in it and you do not see a change, then you come back and see me. But sometimes you have to be the one to step up and make that effort and see if you can make that marriage last.
Adrienne.
Yes.
Another question I have.
Okay.
What's the shortest marriage you've seen?
Ooh, 30 days.
Get out of here,
yeah,
Adrienne.
I got one 30 days. And it stands out to me because I thought. You've heard shorter? You've heard of
Caesar Walker to the stand.
I mean, we're in the information age. I've heard some
I thought you
wild
meant.
stories.
Okay. I thought you meant.
I don't know anyone personally, but yeah, I've heard some wild. But I think that goes into the nature by which they even got married in the first place.
Yeah.
Well,
right. So
okay, you're about to preach a different sermon. But Adrienne, 30 days.
Yes.
Okay.
Me,
Now conversely, what's the longest tenured marriage you've seen dissolve?
Ooh.
If you say more than 30 years, Adrienne, I'm going to flip this table over.
Yeah.
You have got to be kidding.
Yeah. I have represented.
I'm so sheltered.
Yeah. I have represented clients with marriages that long to the point that I have talked and said, are you sure this is what you want to do? Oh,
what have been some of the reasons? Like, has it been like illness or something? Like, what's the, you know what I mean? What
Illness, Walker?
What have been some?
What, like mental illness? Like, what do you mean?
A person is dealing with challenges in their body, and it's difficult for them to perform certain duties.
Adrienne, I know you don't have any spineless clients like that. Forgive me for him.
The cases that I
forgive
have
you
had.
I will forgive you. But go ahead.
My cases, and it's it's a little rare. You don't get a lot of those just long term like that. But the ones that I had, one of them was domestic violence. And I know you think really, but it went on for a very long time. And from that case, it went on a very long time. The children were adults and were starting to have that voice to them to say, hey, this is, why are we still here? And they came to me for a divorce. It was actually the child and the mom or the wife came to me for a divorce. Mm-hmm. So
that is
that
so
was
sad.
It was just, it went on so long, and they were just kind of fed up, and mom was just kind of staying in the marriage. Wow. Mm-hmm. And then some of them, they separate, and everybody goes their own little way, and then they come back and say, hey, we need a divorce. People
because they met somebody.
Yeah, pretty much.
Walker, you're too real for me, man.
What do you mean I'm too real?
Let me have a sheltered life.
As a grown man. The kids. Sure.
So yes.
Adrienne, that's wild.
Mm-hmm.
So
I still can't get over 30 days.
Yeah.
How do you handle like the abusive situations from a legal standpoint?
You have to be very careful with that.
Yeah.
Because you're sensitive. You have to be careful what you say, because even I'm not experiencing it. Just dealing with it, I have to keep in mind that these people are sensitive, and again, it could just be me, but I find myself very protective of my clients in those situations, and I fight hard for all my clients. I don't care who it is. Like I said, if you want it and you pay me, I'm gonna try to get it. You say you want a jacuzzi, but you only have an apartment, I'm gonna need that jacuzzi. Okay, again. I love what I do. But when you get into that, I become very protective of my clients. And I'm going to make sure I say this. It's not just women. I have clients, men, that have been in abusive marriages.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Most of the time when people think, they just instantly take their mind to the wife or the mother. I say, no, that's not it.
No one cares to a degree when a man, like society, like we don't give it the same attention that we would give a woman in an abusive situation. Most people even laugh. Like I've heard stories where people call the police and police would be like,
Well, and that I can't speak on that part, but as the judges that I've been in front of and as attorneys, they do.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's not. We don't take that. Even as attorneys, we don't take that lightly, because what we have is, as attorneys, we're gonna bring that evidence of that abuse before this judge, and there at that point, going to have to look at that evidence and the facts and make a decision to say whether this abuse has taken place and how does that affect their divorce and what the judge decides to award as far as, what they're asking for, assets or whatever. But also as it relates to the PFAs, we have to present evidence on those as well. And a judge has to make a granted order whether they're going to do the PFA or not. And that's that protection from abuse, putting that restraining order in place. So when you bring that, nobody really has, and again, I don't know what officers do, but when you bring that to the courts, it's a blank slate. We present that evidence, and if you can prove that case, judges are going to say,
open and shut.
Right, there you go. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Do you feel that because men don't oftentimes know their rights, or they tend to assume that because of their role, traditional role or responsibility, they're out, the mother's close with the children? Do you oftentimes see men not, I guess, getting the short end of the stick in terms of these rulings, or, outside of you? But do you see that happen often, or what happens to men in those cases who aren't up or educated as to what they have a right to?
Okay, so I have to say this, and I even tell my men clients, unfortunately you are to blame for that if you don't go out and seek counsel who can tell you have these rights, or look into it yourself. You can't just go into the court and just assume that the mother or the wife gets to do XYZ. Mm-hmm. So if they are getting the short end of the stick, it's one of two things happening. They're going in, allowing themselves to get the short end of the stick because they can fight for these things. They can fight for something. They can fight for custody. They can fight to exceed the standard visitation. They can have a trial on those things. But if you go in and you don't fight for it, then the judge didn't give you the short end of the stick. You got yourself the short end of the stick. And the second thing is you have to get attorneys who say to themselves, I have a client who has come to me, and it may be, like you said, a dad or husband, who has come to me and they're only asking for the bare minimum. When as the attorney, they can get more. Right. So I'll say to my men clients, and my dad and my husband, hey, so tell me again why you just agreeing to custody? What's the difference? You can't take care of this child? Is that something you want? And then they say, oh, I didn't know I can do this, or I didn't know I can do that. And so I said, hey, non-custodial time, do you just want the bare minimum? Are you just asking for the standard?
Right.
Oh, I didn't know I can do. So sometimes you have to find the right attorney to present that when they come to me and I see they're asking for the bare minimum. I present them the law and say, hey, these are the things you can fight for. If you don't want to fight for it, then that's your decision. But you need to be aware that you have those rights. Mm-hmm. And then you can make an informed decision on what you want to do. If you want to say, hey, I'm agreeing to custody, go that place, then great. But if you said, no, now that I know I can do X, Y, Z, then let's rock and roll. How do we do share? How do we do equal time? How do we make sure that this child is taken care of and loved and having time with both parents without disrupting the stability of the children, but at the same time realizing that they still need both parents? They're used to both.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Adrienne.
Mm-hmm.
That's difficult though.
What part?
Just the I guess the man knowing their rights in that situation. It's difficult. Adrienne.
So why do the women know?
Because it's a stigma, like Walker was talking about.
A stigma?
Yeah, that's. Come on, Adrienne.
Each person. No. So you mean to tell me, just to make sure I'm clear, right now, you don't know that you have a right to fight for.
Well, Adrienne,
isn't it a person
I don't think that's fair
thing?
because I've met you. but I was astonished when I met you and we had gotten to that part of the conversation. Mm-hmm. Because and I don't have any thoughts of leaving my wife. But man, if I did before I met you, I was thinking, man, I'm a guy. I'm a black male. I'm doomed.
Oh, but
because it's the societal norm.
But everybody, I'm sure every guy is not thinking that. But I will say majority of the husband or men that come to me believe that they have less.
Okay. Now, I'm thankful for you being here to spread that awareness, obviously. But honestly, before then, I was just man, if it ever came down to it, I'm out the door, and then
but that is a real fear that men do have. In terms of why there may be trepidation to get married, because they look at it as high risk for them, especially when you consider we've kind of in a sexual kind of culture now. Sex has been normalized outside of marriage. So for guys who have access to it, who may be men of means, what's in it for, you know what I mean? And so the idea is if this doesn't work out, she's taking me to the cleaners.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's that feeds into when a guy does find themselves in your office is almost kind of like a defeated mentality, like, oh Lord, what I gotta give up, like, you know what I mean, just give it to
That's
me.
true.
Give it to me and get it over
please
with.
tell me
right?
you get that. Please tell me you get that.
That is true.
Okay.
I cannot lie.
You said it way more eloquently. I'm too emotional.
Preach, Walker.
That is absolutely true. And let me tell you something else that I noticed. I have my women clients file and take care of business of things that need to be changed, modified, contempts, whatever issues. They are quick to get things filed, go to the courthouse and have it filed, whether they do it themselves or do an attorney. Most of the dads or the men, they do not. They will sit on issues that may be occurring that needs to be corrected and can't be corrected by a judge. Well, yet they don't file. They will come and I'll say, well, this has been going on for a year that, you have not been able to visit with your child, and that particular parent is violating that visitation schedule. Why are you letting that go on instead of having a judge to address the issue? So you can't say, nothing happens good for me, I'm in this situation. But all you have to do is file. But if I get the females or I get a mom or woman in my office, say he's not paying child support, she said, what I got to do to file? I mean, they come in quicker. But most of the time, and it can be 3 months, 6 months, And this is not just, I'm not saying that's majority. I do have women that let child support go on forever not being paid before they file. But most of the time, the men are just not filing things. They'll let stuff sit and just sit and sit.
Listen, if they ain't no money, they'll file. If there ain't no money in it, it was like, I'll do it later.
But that affects them.
Yeah.
Even with things like modifications. We can file modifications. Let's say there's child support that's being ordered to pay. And I'm going to say custodial payment versus non-custodial because we get caught up in husband, wife, or dad, mom. But, dads have custody and have to deal with child support issues with moms. They go both ways.
We just don't hear about it, though, Adrienne.
Right. Yeah, you got to hear about it.
Well, you do.
Facts.
But, okay, yeah, I mean, you're right.
Yeah, you're in it, but yeah, we don't know.
We don't hear about it. Like, socially, we just...
Yeah.
So, even with modifications. So modifications, are you all familiar with petition for modifications?
No.
All right, so that's when you file with the court a petition stating that whatever the previous order that was put in place, you're asking the court to modify it for whatever particular reason.
Okay.
Most of the time, that reason has to show that there's a change in circumstances from the time that order was originally done. So to give you the prime example would be if there is a non-custodial parent who is paying child support. At the time the child support was calculated, their income was, $70,000. But since that child support amount has come out to be whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But since that time, that non-custodial parent may have lost a job or there have been a decrease in income or something of that nature. And they do not have the financial ability to continue to pay that child support amount that was originally ordered. Sometimes people would just sit instead of filing with the court to say, hey, I need to modify this to show there's a change in circumstances so I can get this corrected and taken care of. Instead, they will go in default or go into contempt by not paying the amount that's ordered when all they had to do is have the judge to address that, and then it puts them back where they need to be.
Can I ask you a question? Mm-hmm. It may be a silly question. Do you think a lot of it is fear?
For the modifications or the
just
contempts?
for people just going to court, period?
Yeah, people are afraid to go to court.
standing in front of a judge. Like again, I think for us as a race, we just courts, judges,
black men.
I'm cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could be over anything ticky tacky, but it's just I gotta go where.
I think a lot of people in general are fearful of courts, no matter what court it is. It is scary. It is scary. We're used to it as attorneys because that's where we eat, sleep, and live. When you have like litigating attorneys, we're having trials, we're in there 24/7. I find a lot of my clients who, even in my domestic relation cases and family law cases, that I think, what are you fearful? We're just going ahead and calculate child support, but they're nervous.
Right.
They're nervous because they're like, well, is the judge going to ask me something? What am I do? What do I wear? But yes, a lot of people do not do certain things, I believe, because they are fearful of courts. Courts can be scary. They really can. Yeah. And going in front of a judge can be scary, in general. Just the lawyers, we're not afraid because this is our everyday life.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got anything else? Because I want to get to the most important question.
Let's just go there because you know how I go.
How you go?
Yeah, this is a good point for us to just get to wherever you gotta go.
Okay, because we're towards the end. We're towards the close. What's your nickname again? Talk about you. You up here poised and professional and polished.
Adrienne, let the record show that I was not going to go there.
Subjects and verbs agreeing and whatnot and what have you and legal jargon, and you ain't got to be afraid of the courts. But your nickname is what now?
It is Shank.
Your nickname is a verb, yo?
Yes. So, a little bit about me. As you stated earlier, I am from Ansley. Went to Montebello, Miles Law School. But when I was younger, before my parents got a divorce, and this is a nickname from, I'm saying like a baby.
Okay.
This is not something I gained.
Oh, I didn't know you earned. Okay.
No, I didn't earn it. I don't know if I'll be able to run for judge if I earn it.
Right. That's why I just wanted to know. I was like, yo, don't try Shank.
I'm not sure if I could have passed or took the bar if I earned it. But yes, that is it's a childhood nickname from when I was a baby. My parents jokingly just made it up. And what happened is I went to school, and I want to say either it had to be elementary school, with my cousin Sean, Attorney Moffett, and put her whole name out there.
Wow.
And she would, because it was a family nickname, and all my family called me that. Nobody called. I have family members that I'm sure do not know my real name. Like, seriously. Wow. And we went to school.
That's how I did. That's how it be.
She called me, and it just kind of picked up. And so I have attorneys that call me that. I have.
Stop.
Oh, yeah. I have judges that had to get used to calling me by my real name.
Get out.
Yeah. So judges have called me Shank.
Was it a Freudian in the court?
No.
Counsel I mean.
So yes, it is that my nickname is so common that at some point I'm gonna have to put it on something related to my campaign, because I am telling you, I'm going to miss votes. My high school, college, like I said, lawyers, judges know me as Shank.
I got it. You can bank on Shank. Let's go. Let's go with it. Let's go.
You heard it here first on the tipping point.
I love it. So when y'all see that on my T-shirt, don't give him any credit for that. I'm just pretend that's all me.
You got anything else?
Yes.
You got anything else?
I had a question, but it's gonna be long-winded. Gosh.
Well, we do a podcast, so it affords for that.
But Walker, you know where I want to go, or do you?
No.
Okay, so Adrienne,
Yes.
one of the things you talked about early on this recording were the kids,
Right.
the impact, like these family situations have on kids. I'm a huge fatherhood advocate. Like, I love my boys. I talk to my boys on this podcast a lot. They're even in our intro, right? So I'm curious, like, and I know there's no average divorce, but just thinking, like, in a common case like that where kids are involved, you've processed everything. What resources do the kids have? Like, or what is there a focus on the kids at all? Are they lost in this whole mix?
No, but most of the time it takes either the judge to notice from the case that there needs to be something put in place or something that they need to, from the bench, put in place while that case is ongoing for the children. But far as, and I don't see kids truly getting lost most of the time. Again, it kind of takes the judges to do it and notice it, but also it kind of takes the attorneys. So if I have a client and I realize that my client is concerned that the children are being lost, and maybe say the other side is not realizing it, we start to do, that's when that co-parenting stuff comes into place. And we also have parenting coordinators. And what they do is a parenting coordinator can be an attorney, counselor, or whatever, that the judge can appoint to a case to help advocate, or not necessarily advocate for the kids, but to help some of the friction in a divorce to kind of die down so that it does not fully affect the children. Almost a co-parenting thing too. The other thing too, when there are issues and you see children get lost or possibly get lost in case, we have GALs. Are you all familiar with GALs? Okay. So GALs are guardian ad litems. There are attorneys who are appointed by the court to represent the children. So let's just say that someone files for the divorce and there are some allegations as it relates to the children, or there is some concern with the children and the parents. The court realizes that both the husband and wife have their own attorneys that's advocating for them. But when you have no one advocating for the children, to protect the children, to determine what's in the best interest of the children. Right. So the court then appoints an attorney who is certified to be a GAL. I'm certified as well. And then we go in and we represent the children. And so that's one of the things that I kind of love doing, because that's one of the benefits of being able to, run for judge and bring that to the bench. Because I've represented children. Yeah. Right. And you are able to help and determine what's in the best interest from that experience. And I've been in GL on several cases, and I've been certified since I've been practicing law. Wow. And if you have that insight and see what needs to be done from the experience in a case, then you're able to say, hey, from the bench, I kind of seen this before. I know what needs to take place here. I know we may need to appoint someone on this. I may need a parenting coordinator on this. I may need to put our family wizard in place to kind of diffuse the parents. Or maybe we need to set up some type of counseling for them and put the children in. We have situations where the parent may be having some issues with the child, and it could be a result of something going on or the divorce itself. We can set up counseling. Say, okay, well, we're going to have them, while the divorce is going on, we're going to have mom and the child do counseling, see if we can build this relationship instead of just letting the parents fight over and put the child in the middle.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Did I answer your question?
You did.
Okay.
You did. I got 2 questions. I'll be done. I promise. You said co-parenting a lot. Okay.
Yes.
Did you watch Insecure?
I did.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Oh God.
We're not going to spend a lot of time here, but I'm just curious.
We here now. My God, today. Go ahead.
Walker and I had
I'm collecting myself. I'm usually cool, calm. I'm getting back cool. I'm cool. Continue.
Walker and I had a heated discussion about Lawrence and Condola.
Okay.
All right. Spoiler alert.
Have you seen?
Yes. I've seen
you caught up. Okay. So I was Team Lawrence.
Okay.
Because my thing was,
I'm Team Lawrence.
You're not.
Until this. Go ahead.
We were all Team Lawrence.
Were we?
Yeah.
We were.
Yeah.
Was I here?
Physically.
Okay. I thought you were Team Condola for a second, for real.
Overall, I'm Team Lawrence. But
Okay.
in this regard, I thought that Lawrence was wrong.
Okay, so we zeroed in on Lawrence and Condola.
Okay.
Co-parenting, the whole situation. I don't know where your friction came with my argument, but my thing was like, Lawrence was doing everything he could to be present in that young man's life, right? Young man, that baby's life. And I guess some people in this studio felt like he could have been doing more. But I'm just curious, like, in thinking of co-parenting and Insecure, what are your thoughts with Lawrence and Condola?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm with you. I was Team Lawrence on it. I really was.
Got applause on here.
I don't think that was the situation, but go ahead.
I am.
I'll let her go.
Let her cook.
I'm with you. I felt like Lawrence was putting in the effort. I did. I felt like he was, traveling, trying to make sure he was there present for the baby. And with that being said, there were certain moments that I felt like Adola was acting as if she was the only parent that can care for a child. And there was nothing that was placed on the show or that I would have said if I was a judge presented as evidence to say that he does not have the ability to take that child with him. What has he done to put this child's safety at risk to say that he cannot or he does not have the ability to care for a newborn or whatever, the child's age was. So with that being said, I saw that, it stood out to me. It's funny you even brought it up. And I was definitely saying, I think Lawrence is putting in the effort. And I felt like she was saying, because I'm a mother, I know the best for the child and you can't take the child here and there. But you're a brand new mom. You're learning the way he's learning. So I feel like they were equal parents. So I was definitely Team Lawrence on that one.
Adrienne, I don't even know if I can vote for you because where I live, but I'm voting anyway. Thank you.
Put that disguise on. Blake was going to do it.
I'll be fair. Let you come in with your shenanigans.
No, I'll give you my points after the podcast. I disagree with both of you two, but
a little director's cut.
yeah, because we're going long.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. Let's strike a time.
Did you have another question?
No, I'm done. I promise you, those are my last two. So
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Can I call you Judge?
And look,
can we just can we put it out there?
I'm gonna call you JS.
I like that. I like that.
JS.
Yeah.
We're gonna call you JS.
I like that.
All right, JS. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for real.
And hanging with us.
This was great.
It was great.
So that means we can expect you back in the near future.
Yeah, whenever you ask
Adrienne,
me.
we forgot to tell you that off air. That's the only rule we have with guests is you got to come back.
Oh, I love it.
Okay.
I forgot to tell you out there. That was my rule. You got to bring me back.
Okay.
Hey, Gad, that is not a rule for every guest we've had.
Well, just because they don't abide by it, that's on them.
Fair enough.
Is it really?
You haven't said that about. Okay. You get selective memory. All right. So we want to thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you for having me.
Just plug away. Tell people what they need to know.
Yes.
Tell them what they need to do.
Well, thank you. So again, I am running for Jefferson County Circuit Court Judge, Domestic Relations Division, Place 23. Asking for everybody to go out and vote for me, asking for their support, prayers, just a little bit of information. Like I said, this is an open seat. I've been practicing a little bit, close to 14 years. I've sat as special judge for several judges in family court as well as criminal court. And like I tell people, that's a big deal because what that means is there are judges who trust me as an attorney to hear their cases and hear their dockets. And so I am blessed that they let me make decisions on their cases for those clients. I have the experience. I tell people I definitely do that. I've done the GAL thing. I've represented everybody. I represent the husbands, the wives, the children, which gives me a very broad perspective on cases. And I think you need that, Also fair, like we said before. Everybody wants that fair shot in court. You want a judge who is going to be smart, understand the law, quick to apply it. You also want a judge that's open to listen. You can't know everything. You just can't. You want that type of person on the bench. You want someone with compassion. We're dealing with children. We're dealing with people's lives. You don't want anyone to make a decision that affects your family who do not know what they're doing or do not have the experience or that knowledge. You want somebody smart. And again, I am definitely that person. I have that experience. I have that background that I think benefits me. Go before the bench, and I'm hardworking. Always have been, and I will be, and continue to do that. So I'm asking everybody to vote for me. Thank you, guys.
You got it. You got it. Plus, I don't even know who else running again.
You didn't have to say that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But we're all friends here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to find out. Is what I'm trying to.
I know you.
Well, we want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Keep Your Point Podcast.